Today's episode is sponsored by Dashlane. Get a 30-day free trial, and after that, get a 10% discount using our code TopTenz at dashlane.com/TopTenz, and let's get into it. Heavily guarded buildings are awesome, and what buildings are better guarded than bunkers? These man-made cave complexes are custom designed to keep out everything that's not invited in, and they're often equipped with fantastic defenses and luxurious amenities that are a far cry from the brutal underground concrete boxes you probably imagine when you think of the word bunker. So in the video today, we're going to look at some of the most impressive ones out there. Number 10. The Nike Missile Bunker. The Nike Missile Bunkers, no relation to the sportswear manufacturer, as far as we know, were a pair of Cold War-era bunkers that were so secure they were actually as effective offensively as they were defensively, if not more. The Nike bunker location started out as a strategic spot that defended the nearby Hanford nuclear facility, which is infamous for churning out 2/3 of the plutonium used in US nuclear weapons, including the plutonium used in the first atomic bombs that were tested in New Mexico in July of 1945. The bunkers were arguably at their mightiest from 1955 to 1958, when they housed a sophisticated air defense system of Ajax and Hercules missiles under the designation of H-52. The bunkers were later refashioned into an emergency operations center and, more recently, a gravitation physics laboratory that was rendered inoperational in 2011. However, the legacy of Nike missile bunkers lives on in the Golden Gate recreational area in California, which houses a reconstructed Nike site that is open for public tours. Number 9. The Sonnenberg Bunker. Every European and North American country worth its salt has a nuclear bunker or 6,000 lying around, but few have gone as far as Switzerland. The Alpine country is the home of the Sonnenberg Bunker, an unassuming pair of mile-long motorway tunnels that can transform into a massive fallout shelter by closing the 350-ton blast doors at both ends. The bunkers lie under the town of Lucerne and were designed to house 20,000 people in the event of the nuclear threat that everyone was afraid of at the time. However, soon after its completion in 1976, the Sonnenberg Bunker turned out to be a little less efficient than advertised. While it was highly secure and could technically house the amount of people it was supposed to, provisions were a bit of a problem. Since the kitchen facilities could only feed the bunker staff and the hospital, almost everyone taking cover inside it would have had to bring their own food with them and store said food on the tiny bunker bed they were also supposed to sleep in. There was also the small matter that it took a whopping 2 weeks to close the blast doors and get the bunker operational, which seems a little slow for a structure that exists specifically to shelter people from a disaster that could come with precious little notice. Despite its flaws, the Sonnenberg Bunker remains operational, though only at a fraction of its intended capacity. In 2006, it was wisely downsized to only accommodate 2,000 people. Number 8. Survival Condo Project. Survival isn't just a primal instinct. For some people, it's a chance to turn a sweet profit. Larry Hall is one of those entrepreneurial spirits, as evidenced by his survival condo project, which combines luxurious accommodations with all the Armageddon-proof safety that a nuclear missile silo can provide. In 2008, Hall coughed up $300,000 for an old nuclear missile silo in Kansas and spent a further $20 million turning it into a series of luxurious homes, complete with communal spaces and luxuries such as swimming pools and cinemas. Hall even has plans to open a small grocery store within the complex. Homes in the Survival Condo Project start from $1.5 million. Well, actually, they started since they were all sold out in 2012, and apart from their underground location, they're virtually indistinguishable from your average inner-city apartment, complete with all the expected amenities such as dishwashers and washing machines. There are even LED screen windows that show a live feed from the prairie range outside, though it's probably safe to assume their view will be significantly less idyllic if the bunker is ever put to serious use. Number 7. Vivos X Points. Somewhere in the Black Hills of South Dakota, near the city of Edgemont, there's a vast field where sturdy concrete bunkers litter the lands like molehills. These 575 identical structures are the Vivos X Point, a luxury survival community for people able and willing to tie themselves down to a down payment of $25,000 and a 99-year annual lease of $1,000. For that price, you get a barren bunker in one of the statistically safest locations in North America, and with that, you'll be ready to ride out whatever shelter-worthy disaster might strike. While you're free to ride out future disasters in an unfurnished concrete hole, the company also offers all sorts of luxurious refurbishments for your bunker, for a price of course. They also offer 24/7 security in the shape of trained guards and camera systems, and should the doomsday scenario allow you to exit the bunker every once in a while, there are also amenities such as a shooting range and a hot tub spa. Number 6. The Houston Bunker. The owners of the Houston Bunker, or the Bunker for short, claim that the site has perhaps the most interesting history of any data center ever built. While this may or may not be true, there's no denying that the complex has a pretty wild past. Unlike your average converted Cold War-era nuclear shelter, the bunker is a relatively young structure. A man called Louis Kung built it in 1982 as part of his supposed HQ for his Westland Oil Company. The construction site was extremely secretive, which is why most people didn't know that Kung's building also included a massive nuclear-proof bunker. Kung's bunker was meant to save the families of Westland Oil employees, and of course that of Kung himself, from large-scale disaster, and it was equipped to house 350 people for 3 months. Apart from the usual nuclear shelter amenities such as filtration systems, water reservoirs, and medical facilities, it seems Kung was also prepared for various Mad Max-style scenarios, seeing as he equipped the complex with machine gun nests and prison cells. Even the mundane office building parts of his structure featured bulletproof glass, emergency generators, and other end-of-the-world features. While Kung's apocalyptic fears never came to be, the sturdy structure of the bunker came in handy later when the building got a new life as a data security center. In this role, the structure has proved its worth by surviving disasters such as Hurricane Ike with zero system downtime. Now, you might not need a secure bunker, but you do need to secure your identity, and the absolute best way to do that is with Dashlane, and I want to tell you about them just before we get into the top 5 today. Dashlane is a one-stop shop for all of your digital identity protection needs. If all of your passwords are the same, which is a bad idea by the way, you can use Dashlane's password manager to create and securely store complex and unique passwords, making it far less likely that your accounts are going to be compromised. They also have a VPN as part of their service, meaning that you can browse the internet securely and confidently even if you're on public Wi-Fi. But it's not just that, they also actively monitor the dark web, the seedy underbelly of the internet, to see if your information has been leaked somewhere online. That means that if that happens, you can go in and change your passwords before someone breaks into other accounts that share that same password. Plus, Dashlane, it does what it's always done. It stores your passwords, it keeps your personal data secure, it fills those annoying boxes for payments and passwords for you. A lot of Dashlane is for free, but there are some premium upgrades you can buy if you want more from the service. To see if those are right for you, take a 30-day free trial, and after that you can get a 10% discount using our code TopTenz at dashlane.com/TopTenz. And that, by the way, is also a great way to support the show and keep us making these videos. So just go protect yourself. There's a link in the description below as well. And let's get into those top 5. Number 5. EuropaOne. Remember Vivos, the company behind the xPoint bunker community? Well, it turns out they can do one better. When storms of fire one day raise the world, EuropaOne is where billionaires will go to ride things out. This giant structure in Rothenstein, Germany, is an old Soviet Cold War bunker that has been converted into an underground city of unparalleled luxury that can be compared to a 5-star cruise ship. Opulent swimming pools, stylish art galleries, comfortable cinemas, elegant bars, and medieval-style cathedral spaces litter the complex. And if you don't feel like hanging out in the communal spaces, you can always retire to your private accommodation with plasma TVs and bedroom aquariums that make it not look unlike a presidential suite. It's pointless to ask how much it costs to enter the lap of luxury, because if you have to ask, you almost certainly can't afford it. Even if you can, entrance by no means is guaranteed. First, a potential EuropaOne resident has to apply for Vivos membership, after which they're moved to a vast pool of prospects. From this, the company selects the best candidates for the shelter. Number 4. The Shanghai Complex. It might be wise to take the stories about Shanghai's massive underground bunker with a grain of salt, since it appears most reports of its existence are from 2006 and can be traced back to a single article by the Shanghai Morning Post. Still, even if just a fraction of its scale is true, it's a massive feat of engineering that easily earns a place on this list. We're talking about a colossal, nuclear-proof, million-square-foot bunker complex that can house a reported 200,000 people for up to 2 weeks. Miles of tunnels connect the shelter to a number of buildings, shopping centers, and the city's subway system. While the scale and existence of this particular shelter might be debatable, even the Shanghai Morning Post article didn't go into too many specifics, it wouldn't be too surprising to find out that it's real. After all, there's no denying that China's large cities have a long history of large-scale bunker building, and Shanghai alone built many large-scale shelter complexes during the Cold War. To get a sense of the scale, you only need to take a look at another large Chinese city, Beijing, where an estimated million people live in the city's old and forgotten nuclear shelters. Number 3. Burlington Bunker. At first glance, the Burlington Bunker seems less like a real location and more like a video game level. Located 100 feet under the cobblestones of the quintessentially English town of Corsham, this massive complex is a little bit larger than your average doomsday prepper's concrete bunker. It's a full-on 1950s Cold War city that features an insanely complex, mile-long labyrinth of nuclear-proof underground structures and 16 miles of crisscrossing subterranean roads. The climate-controlled location was designed to house up to 4,000 people, ran on massive generators that powered over 100,000 lights, and was chosen because of a vast network of natural limestone caves that was already running under Corsham. The Burlington Bunker's amenities include the usual Armageddon fare, such as control rooms, kitchens, storage rooms, and a pneumatic tube system for messages. It also features a hospital, the second largest phone exchange in Great Britain, and of course an underwater lake that supplies the drinking water. A fully equipped TV studio allows who's ever left of the government, and for that matter the British Royals, to address the people, which is why the site used to feature a secret rail line that forked from the main line between London and Bristol. People only learned of the top-secret Burlington Bunker's existence after it was decommissioned in 2004, at which point most of its supplies had been drained and a small staff of 4 people were running the entire bunker. Number 2. Raven Rock. Where does the Department of Defense go when things get really hairy? I mean, like actual bombs falling on the Pentagon. The answer is Raven Rock. This mountain complex, which is also known as Site R, was built underneath Pennsylvania's Blue Ridge Mountains and is connected to Camp David, the country retreat of the President of the US, with a 6.5-mile tunnel in case POTUS needs evacuating as well. Raven Rock is basically every Cold War-era fear rolled into one giant bunker complex, which comes as no surprise, seeing as it was built between 1951 and 1953, the heyday of the post-World War II Red Scare. It's basically the Pentagon, but as a huge, ultra-safe underground structure that was, at least theoretically, self-sufficient enough to shelter the country's best and brightest for an indeterminate period of time. Some of its tunnels are large enough to house several large buildings that, in turn, are designed to house hundreds of high-ranking folks. The site also has its own power plant, 2 water reservoirs, and even a well-stocked bar. Being a military project, its price tag was equally impressive. The original budget of $35 million ballooned to $350 million when adjusted for inflation. Despite all of its obsolete Cold War glory, Raven Rock remains fully staffed even today. It was even used for emergency evacuation during the 9/11 attacks, when Vice President Dick Cheney sought shelter in the complex. However, it's hardly a top-secret location. In fact, the Obama administration even started offering tours of the site as part of their Weekend at Camp David program. Number 1. The Oppidum. And then there is the Oppidum. Where other luxury bunkers stuff their underground complexes with high-end features and millionaire opulency, this super-secure compound in the Czech Republic takes things even further. Apart from the 5-star nuclear bunker comfort you'd expect at this point on the list, the Oppidum's living quarters are a 2-part affair where you can go from living in a palatial above-ground residence to an equally lush underground bunker, which can be sealed with a sturdy blast door in under a minute. Because the whole structure is surrounded by mountains and located in a peaceful country with no enemies, it's unlikely to be nuked to oblivion in the first place, but should the situation demand taking things underground, the massive 2-level bunker is reportedly the most luxurious residential doomsday shelter in the world. Incidentally, it's also the largest at a ridiculous 323,000 square feet. The Oppidum isn't shy about using all that space for sheer extravagancy either. Apart from the expectedly fancy living quarters, the complex features amenities such as a spa, wine cellar, and even a nice garden with simulated natural light. Oh, and to protect the luxury compound from attacks by mutants of the radioactive post-apocalyptic wasteland, the Oppidum also features state-of-the-art defense systems ranging from high walls and sensors to automated defense technology, whatever that might mean. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below. Also, please do check out my other channel called Biographics. It's biographies of notable people from history, linked to below. And as always, thank you for watching.